We're all jazzed up for a week 17 on an NFL Sunday. So many playoff implications today. So many meaningless games. How do you bet? What do you look at each of these lines? Which games to pick? Which games to avoid? Hello, everyone. Welcome to our pregame show on the game day. My name is Courtney Fallon. As always, I'm with my expert, Kenny Betts Big, who's rolling in the deep. I mean, you got to listen to this guy, because he's got a lot of clout. This week he made big money. He's got a lot of early lines we got to talk about because, it's just a confusing week. Kenny, what's up?
What's going on, Courtney? How's everything? How's everyone at home? Hope you guys are, finished up the NFL season strong here, and let's make some money, right?
Yeah, let's make some money. That's right. Listen.
We've been doing it every week, so for everyone that's been listening to us, they've been profiting. That's what it's about.
Oh man, I know, but this is a really confusing week. I gotta start off the bat. When you're advising a lot of your clients, what do you say going into this week? Because again, there's like pages of playoff scenarios that we could read out to you. We could give you the percentages. We'll kind of just lay it out and be pretty simple about it. If this team wins, they're in. This team doesn't, they're not. I mean, like there's pages of it. But again, so when you're talking to your clients, like which games do you say immediately, like, I like this line, or this one's a little too fishy? I'm thinking about that Patriots-Jets game.
Yeah, that Patriots-Jets line is super sketchy, right? I approach it same as always. I let them know that there's probably going to be a little bit less bets this week than normal, especially this week. Some of these games, you can't even bet some of them. But you can take advantage of definitely some situations where teams are resting starters. Teams may be, obviously it's a huge, look ahead spot. Teams more focused on the playoffs. So there are some, areas where you can take advantage of, whether teams are resting players, not fully focused on the team ahead, or situations like the Ravens game where, they're playing for their season to continue right now. So you get a great team that's probably going to play one of their best games all season this week. So.
Okay, well, let's dig into that first game. Talking about a line that's a little fishy here. Obviously, the Steelers haven't been playing their best football as of late, but they did pull out a win, a come-from-behind win last week against the Colts. You had it right on this show last weekend. I didn't believe it. I said the Steelers in the middle of that game. I was like, Kenny screwed me. I could have put this Colts in my parlay, and, the Steelers aren't going to win another game. I was wrong. You were right. So, that game. The Steelers are 9.5-point underdogs. Well, we all know that the Browns, if they win, they're in, but they're also missing a bunch of their guys. They missed their entire, like the bad luck that's going against Cleveland right now is just, it's unfortunate because they lost their entire wide receiving core last week. They're going into this one limping to the finish. They have to beat the once undefeated Steelers in order to get in the postseason. Big Ben is not playing, so it's Mason Rudolph. That's kind of a crapshoot to a lot of bettors here. Is Mason Rudolph all of a sudden going to come back, throw 3 touchdowns, 300 passing yards, and have his last laugh on Baker Mayfield? Are the Browns gonna throw up a stinker in this one, or are they actually going to come out to play? Well, first thoughts on this one. I mean, I'll let you take the floor.
Yeah, this is an interesting game to bet. Like you said, a lot of missing pieces for both sides here. The obvious thing that I feel like people are looking at, no Big Ben, no Marquise Pouncey, no TJ Watt, Steelers can't bet them. But when you actually dig into the analytics a little further, Mike Tomlin, for his career against the spread as an underdog, is 37, 19, and 2, good for 66%. And then when you actually dig a little deeper and you see Mike Tomlin's games without Big Ben, he's 12, 3, and 2 without Big Ben as his starter. So for me, I know you and I talked about it off air. We both love the Steelers here. I think the Steelers plus 9.5, buy it up to 10 is a great bet. Ton of value in that. I think a lot of people are just, misjudging. The market has this line totally wrong. Just because Big Ben's out, the line jumped up to plus 9.5 here. I think there's a great value and probably one of my better bets this week that I'm going to be taking.
Okay. Well, our guys at the Game Day podcast, they think the same. Marcus thinks that they're going to play for pride, still the Steelers. And they will beat them out to kick them out of the postseason. Let's see what our guys, Adam Kramer and Marcus Mosher, think.
They have a negative point differential this season. Why in the world should they be 10-point favorites over anybody?
Steelers at Browns, -9.5, over under 42.5. We talked about the Buffalo game coming down. This is a line that's going up for the Browns. So even though they lose against the Jets, that number is on its way up. And Marcus, that tells me somebody thinks that obviously starters are going to potentially be benched, right? Like that's what we're looking at here.
We know no Ben Roethlisberger in this game against the Browns, right? So it's going to be Mason Rudolph. But I still like Pittsburgh in this game. I think they're going to have some pride, right? They have not played well over the last couple of weeks. They had a good second half against the Colts. Good for them. Go win in week 17, knock the Browns out of the playoffs. And I also think, by beating the Browns, they'll also avoid the Ravens because of some weird seeding. So I think Pittsburgh is going to beat them, but I'm taking them plus 9.5. If that jumps up to 10, I'm all over it.
You've got the other side too. We don't know who's going to be ready for the Browns. You've got a team that looked really bad against the Jets. I think the biggest thing was the running game struggling, right? I'm with you on the points here. This feels like an overreaction. It feels like people trying to get in to understand where the good information is. I just can't, given what I watched last week with Cleveland, lay that kind of points here, even if we have the backups ready to play. So
they have a negative point differential this season. Why in the world should they be 10-point favorites over anybody this season? Why? I don't get it.
I mean, it was that Cleveland game last week. And again, they're playing under unique circumstances. So I'm not going to draw too much from that unless the Jets are going to win the Super Bowl next year, which they probably will. I mean, that was just a really, really bad game. So I think this is a bit of an overreaction.
Baker Mayfield had a pretty big stinker last week. I had a couple people that picked him up just for show in their championship game. I mean, he really stunk it up. I think 8 fantasy points total. Couldn't get anything off the ground, obviously because he was losing a lot of his wide receivers, but he couldn't even get anything in the running game, not even to Kareem Hunt or Nick Chubb. So in terms of a fantasy perspective or prop bets, I know you love those prop bets. I'm being facetious here. Do you think this could be one of those games where you could see Baker having a bounce back game?
Yeah, I don't know. I just think that personally, I'm not a big Baker Mayfield fan. I think, when he was going on that run, I think he was, definitely highly overrated. I think you and I both came on the show at some point and said to pump the brakes on Baker Mayfield. So honestly, this game, I just see everyone having a huge overreaction to. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Baker Mayfield come out and have another dud of a game and the Steelers defense clamp down, shut the Browns offense down and win this game. Because even though they're resting players, I still, like you said, I still think they're going to play for pride. Mike Tomlin still going to have that team fired up. Big division game, hopefully to block the Browns out from the playoffs. So.
Okay, well, let's get to our slate. Because again, as we said, there's a lot of games that you want to bet. There's a lot of games you want to stay away from. This is an interesting one to start off. The Vikings at the Lions. The Lions have, a lot of pride, lion pride to play for. They don't have anything else. They haven't had that in a very long time. Walking into the offseason, potentially there was some news today that the Lions brass, their front office, is going to go after Seattle general manager John Schneider, which could be a blockbuster move for them. But that being said, they're still with the same old pieces. A lot of guys, Kenny Golladay out for the season. They lost Jeff Okudah a couple weeks ago. And Matthew Stafford is just an absolute warrior here. Like, it's broken ribs, wrist, ankle. He's going to be playing out there for Darrell Bevell's offense. The Vikings are 4-point favorites here. They are on the road. Now, do you trust Kirk Cousins in this situation? I know down the stretch, it was like kind of we were thinking that the Vikings were really going to be making a serious push. They had the capabilities to come back from down big points. I don't know. I don't know if it's in them. Do you think do you think this could be a surprise Detroit game? Detroit win this Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not touching this game, myself, but if I was going to make a wager on this, I would definitely ride with Stafford and the Detroit Lions here. Kirk Cousins just continually lets bettors down, right? I think a few weeks ago we talked about this stat. When the Vikings are like a short favorite, he's terrible against the spread. For whatever reason, he never seems to get it done. I think, it's like another game where Stafford, he's just gritty. He's one of the grittiest players I've seen. No matter what happens to this guy, he stays in there and somehow finds a way to keep his team alive. So yeah, if you had to bet it, I would go with the Lions here.
Okay. Do you think that line is too high, 53.5, or you think that there's going to be a lot of garbage? But honestly, I'm looking at that and I'm thinking like Stafford, 3 touchdowns, DeAndre Swift, if he's healthy. I'm feeling like bettors could take the over in this one and win easy.
Yeah, I do like the over here. Both of these teams are literally playing for nothing. So I don't see the defense going out there trying to put on a super tight performance, lay down huge hits. I think there's going to be a lot of, big busted open plays, like you just said, Stafford. I could easily see him throwing a few. Kirk Cousins, king of garbage time. I'm sure, this will be one of those games where the under looks like it's done and then Kirk Cousins throws 2 touchdowns in the last 3 minutes. So yeah, I would lean under here as well, and there is sharp money on the over as well. So.
Okay. Go NFC North. We like the big points. It's like them and it's the Bears and the Packers. We got a couple, but that's a matchup we'll talk about in a little bit. But the Ravens and the Bengals, you told me something very interesting here. You said that the Ravens are going to win the Super Bowl. You heard it here first.
Yeah, they were my favorite pick before the season. I just thought Lamar Jackson was super focused. He said, I don't care about the MVP. All he wants now is the Super Bowl. They had their little lull in the middle of the season when they got struck with that big C word, COVID.
Yeah.
And we've been talking about it for a few weeks. You and I both have been saying they're going to catch fire right at the right time. And, they've scored over 151 points in their last 4 games combined. So this offense is clicking on all cylinders. Their defense, obviously they're known for their defense as well. So I think this team is, catching fire at the right time. I feel bad for this Bengals team today. Baltimore, I think they have like a 94% chance to make the playoffs as long as they win this game. So I think you're going to see a super focused Ravens team. Lamar Jackson, for his career, historically, he does cover these big spreads on the road. For whatever reason, when he's a big favorite at home, he doesn't do well. But when he's a huge favorite on the road, these are the games where he really shines. So I think we're going to see a vintage Lamar Jackson performance, get that team to the playoffs. And then hopefully for my bets, hopefully they keep rolling because I have a few bets sprinkled on the Ravens to win the AFC championship and the Super Bowl.
Okay. Well, as of late, the Bengals offense has kind of been turning up over the last couple of weeks. I mean, we're not talking garbage time points. I mean, we're talking big touchdowns, and Brandon Allen has that offense clicking. So you don't think that there's any way that the Bengals could backdoor cover in this game?
No. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to say there's no way. So, it's all gambling. There's always a chance any given Sunday. That's why they play the game. Yeah. But personally, no, I think the Ravens are going to win this game by 20 plus. I wouldn't be shocked if the Bengals get shut out here, honestly. You mentioned the over. Right now, there's about 87% of the bets and 90% of the money on the over. Personally, I like the under a lot here. Yeah, like I said, I don't think the Bengals are going to be able to get much going at all today.
Moving on, the Falcons and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, man. So the Bucs have had quite the season. We know why. There's a guy named Tom Brady. He's under center. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers aren't playing for very much. They clinched a playoff spot last week, but they are playing for their best record in the franchise since 2005. There was a guy named Chris Sims, who's a Tom Brady hater, ironically. That was the last time. Chris Sims, the biggest Tom Brady hater in the game. That was the last time that they had this record that they were going after. So a lot of pride, a lot of clout. I think this is kind of a greasing the gears and, kind of moving forward game. The Falcons have surprised. I don't know. The amount of times that I've bet on the Falcons or have put my faith in the Falcons. Last week they won. But who knows? The Buccaneers are not playing with Shaquille Barrett this Sunday. He is out on the COVID reserve list, so a couple of defensive pieces that they don't have. But what are your thoughts on this 7-point favorite for Tampa Bay over a division rival?
Sharp money is on the Atlanta Falcons. So I never really like to bet against sharp money. I'm not touching this game here because, like you said, I don't want to step in front of this Tampa Bay Bucks offense right now. Tom Brady has that offense rolling right now. He's firing on all cylinders. Yeah, I wouldn't bet this game. I do kind of like the under here. I think the Bucks are still going to be tinkering with some things, trying to, just get all the kinks out right before the playoffs. So I could see this, and they did just play 2 weeks ago, so they are pretty familiar with each other. I wouldn't be surprised to see this game go under. But as far as the spread with each side, I'm not going to touch that just because there's too many just uncertainties. This Falcons team, they just find ways to lose games week after week. And Tom Brady's the GOAT, best football player of all time. He's going to find a way to get it done, I'm sure. And a little side note here, because you're up in New England. What are the talks like? Is everyone saying like, wow, Tom Brady was the glue that kept this Patriots team going now? Or like, are people still thinking like, it was more Bill? Or what's the talks on that like?
People just don't want to talk about the Patriots.
Yeah, yeah, I bet.
I think the fervent and the zest for the NFL right now, at least when it comes to the Patriots, like no one wants to talk about this team. It's more thinking down the line. It's more thinking, is this Bill's fault for messing up this team this year, or his oversight of not choosing a quarterback early? Please, to the love of God, Cam Newton, please don't come back to this team, or there's possibly a chance, and kind of reading the team. This is what people in New England like to do right now. They like to read the tea leaves and figure out what Bill is going to do in the offseason. And then they kind of look forward to the other games. And the excitement for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that maybe was like week 1 of the NFL season, because there's so many different groups that are split on everything.
Right. Yeah, so, Cam Newton has been like all-time bad this year. And I said it, we were talking about it a couple weeks ago.
Anyone.
I was hoping, what?
No, I just said anyone that defends Cam Newton for anything this season, besides being a good teammate, your argument is immediately deleted.
Yeah, he's
from the conversation. Historically bad. I'm sorry.
Right. So what do we got next for the people at home?
Okay. All right. We have the Dallas Cowboys at the New York Giants. This could potentially be your winner of the NFC East. Wouldn't you know? The Dallas Cowboys, they were 3-8 a couple of weeks ago. And all of a sudden, because of that cluster junk at the top of this terrible division, there's going to be a winner. And whether or not it's going to be the Washington football team or the Dallas Cowboys, all eyes are on MetLife Stadium today. The Cowboys are a 1.5-point favorite. That line is pretty low, even though the weather here in New England and in the New York tri-state area is pretty decent. But the Giants offense just can't seem to get off the ground. The Cowboys might be clicking at the right time. Andy Dalton, I think, has $1 million incentive that he could hit because he's playing more than 50% of the snaps this Sunday. So, Andy Dalton's winning big money on Sunday. And I think a lot of people, this was a line that you really liked. It was Cowboys -3, I believe.
I took
back there. Thor's very excited about the Cowboys.
Right now. You hear him, right? He heard you talking about it. He's pumped. I took the Cowboys money line. Sorry about that. Crazy. I took the Cowboys money line earlier this week. The line has since dropped. It was -3 when I did my early lines video. Right now it's at -1.5. That's because there's a ton of sharp money on the Giants this week. Like I said, I don't personally like betting against sharps, but this is just a no-brainer for me. Like, do you want to put your money on Andy Dalton, Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Zeke, or Daniel Jones, Gallman, and that horrific Giants offense? Daniel Jones, for his career at MetLife, is only 3-9 against the spread too. So when he's playing at home, he just, for whatever reason, can't seem to win games, doesn't cover the spread. So history on our side, better team on our side. I love the Cowboys here. I don't care what the trends say for this one. I think you got to lock the Cowboys in. I love them to win this game.
Moving on to an AFC East matchup, and this one is, bears some importance here, is the Miami Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills. This is an interesting one for a lot of people because The Dolphins, I believe that they're winning, they're in. This is a pick'em game. It's a 1-point spread. It's in favor of the Dolphins, actually, which is kind of crazy. The Bills don't really have a lot to play for, so it's more of a question of, do they let the Dolphins win, or do they continue their winning ways and their historic season, finish with that 11-5 record? The line on this is pretty low. Is there a reason for that?
Yeah, probably because there's a lot of uncertainties around the Bills with Josh Allen. They're saying he's going to play, but he might sit. So it's a lot of question marks on this game for me to bet. Sharp money is on the Bills. A lot of big money on the Dolphins, though. Right now, it's about 40% of the bets on the Dolphins, over 85% of the money. So, people with the big wallets are laying down, thinking the Dolphins, Tua, are going to come out here and get this done. Obviously, they have a lot on the line. It would be terrible for the Dolphins to have the season that they did, just to fall short at the end, and not even make the playoffs. But I don't want to bet against this Bills team. Josh Allen, I'm surprised he's not even in more talks for the MVP the way he's been playing, because this Bills team is just clicking on all cylinders. Stephon Diggs looks like the best receiver in the NFL right now. I personally would never want to bet against this Bills team.
Okay, well, moving on to the other teams in the AFC East. I can't believe I'm saying this. The Patriots and the Jets. This line is super fishy. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. The great news for everyone around the league is that Adam Gase will be let go after this game. Thank God. No more Adam Gase. I almost feel bad for the Jets at this point, but it just goes to show, listen, for any team that you think that's tanking, they're not. Because when you're a player in that locker room, I've had a lot of friends who have been on losing seasons, and man, it hurts. And anyone in your narrative of, oh, we're going to tank for Trevor, we're going to tank for this. I mean, the Jets are playing to win. So the Jets are playing to win this game. I don't think the Patriots can even move the field beyond like 30 yards. It really worries me. I worry about the Patriots offense. To me, if I was a betting woman, I'd take the Jets outright. What about you?
Geez, that's crazy.
No, I really would. I have no faith in this
Patriots fan saying she's going to take the Jets outright. Sheesh. Yeah, this game is brutal. This might be one of the worst games all season, right? And it's crazy to think that, the Patriots are labeled and lumped into one of the worst games all year. But right now is over about 50% of the bets and over 80% of the money on the Jets. So, a lot of people hold that same sentiment as you, with the Jets going to come out and get this win. Yeah, honestly, I don't really have any sort of lean on this game. This game is so bad that you don't know what Cam Newton you're going to get. Is he going to come out and throw for over 200 yards, or is he going to come out and throw for 30 yards? This Patriots team is probably one of the hardest teams to handicap that I've ever covered in sports betting, because they're so Jekyll and Hyde with their offense that one week they look, they're competing against some of the best teams in the league, and then they come out the next week and you think, oh, this Patriots team is going to win, no doubt. And then Cam Newton throws 60 yards in the whole game and they get run off the field. So, for people listening at home, like I tell you guys every week, you don't have to bet every game. This is a game I would highly recommend you stay away from. If you did want to bet, though, you would have to go with Courtney here. The Jets are the right bet in this matchup. As crazy as that sounds, you have two Patriots fans telling you the Jets are the right play. But based on the numbers, the stats, and everything, Jets are the right play.
Moving on to the 4:00 slate, the Texans and the Titans. Ooh, the Texans, this is like their Super Bowl right now. They are a 7-point underdog. They're playing in their own stadium. The Titans, oh, how the mighty have fallen. I believe, I'm not sure, but I think there's a lot more on the line for the Titans right here in terms of playoff slating, in terms of playoff implications here. And the Texans, they're going to want to spoil someone's dinner. Let's hope that we don't get Deshaun Watson of the last couple of weeks. Let's hope that we get a Deshaun Watson that can actually get out of the pocket. We know that Titans pass rush is pretty great, but you like the Texans heavy on this one, don't you?
Yeah, I like the Texans a lot here. Right now they're sitting at +7. I would take them +7 or +7.5, whatever. But if it dips below that 7, I would not touch it. I also really like the under here. The under is a super sharp play for me. Right now there's about 69% of the bets on the over and 93% of the money on the over. You guys at this point have heard me say it every week. Huge liability for the sports books. Great public fade there. This is, you have a Titans team coming off a Sunday night loss to the Packers, so less time to prepare for this game. And like you just said, this is the Texans' literal Super Bowl. I think the Texans, as great as Ryan Tannehill has played this year, I still think Deshaun Watson is the better quarterback. So I think we are going to see a good game at him. Vintage Deshaun Watson. I think he'll come out, play a great game, and keep his team in this game till the end at least. And I don't see them losing by more than a touchdown here.
Moving on to another game that you really liked, early lines, Saints at the Panthers. I think you need to give a trophy to Teddy Bridgewater if he covers in this game. This is a very interesting one. Saints are missing just about everyone. A couple weeks after Alvin Kamara scored 6 touchdowns, then he gets fined $10,000 for wearing different colored green and red cleats, and now he is out on the COVID list and possibly could miss the first playoff game, depending on whether he has symptoms or not. I feel like that is just a storyline will be continuing into the postseason. It's going to affect a lot of gambling lines in this one, but Saints at the Panthers, the line in this one is 46.5. So a lot of people don't think that there's going to be a lot of points scored in this one, but Teddy Bridgewater has your number. And you know what? I'm riding with you because I put the Panthers in my parlay as well.
Hey, let's go. I love it. Teddy Bridgewater has been, like my knight in shining armor this year. He's covering spreads left and right. For his career, he's 24-5 against the spread as an underdog. So that's just remarkable. Teddy Bridgewater at this point is probably my favorite player. I locked them in at +7 earlier in the week. It's down to +6 now. I still think, I honestly think the Panthers could win this game outright. This is going to be a totally different Saints team than we've seen over the last, season, 2 seasons, where they're not going to have Kamara. I don't believe Latavius Murray is playing in this game. So the whole season, when the Saints don't have either one of them on the field, they average like under 1 yard a play. So I think this Saints offense is going to struggle to get a lot going. And I think we're going to see this Panthers team come out, have a great game plan. And I think Teddy Bridgewater against his old team is going to be fired up, super motivated, looking to get a win. I love the Panthers here. This is probably, again, one of my favorite bets of the year.
Favorite bets of the year. Okay.
I think I'm like 4-0 on those so far. So for everyone listening, when I say that, pay attention. It means so.
Listen, I'm telling you, I'm putting some money on today. I'm trusting in you, Kenny, so you can replenish my bank account after all those Christmas presents. Moving on to
another real quick before we glaze over this one. I love the Panthers in a 2-team 7-point teaser. You could do Panthers with the Texans, Panthers with the Steelers. I think either one of those are easy money.
Okay, easy money. That's the theme of the day. Moving on to the Raiders at the Broncos. Another kind of meaningless game. The Raiders are eliminated. The Broncos are, I don't know, again. What is Drew Lock? What is that team? Are they good? Are they bad? It remains to be seen. But Derek Carr is most likely going to be playing in this one. Is this one you gloss over, or this one you're going to put some money down on?
This definitely not putting any money on this game. If you gun to your head and you got to bet it, I would probably go with the Raiders here, money line. I just think that, on paper, X's and O's, they're the far and away better team. They have the better coach, better quarterback. Drew Lock in this Broncos team seems to be like, 1 week they play a good game, next week they lay a dud. So, they kept it competitive last week versus the Chargers. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Raiders come out, drop 40 on them, and run them off the field.
All right, moving on to another slate of games. I believe this is the 49ers and the Seahawks. Yep, I am correct. Seahawks and the 49ers.
It's your lucky day. You should put some money on these games.
No, I was just guessing which game was next. I know, maybe I'm feeling it today. Seahawks at the 49ers. Oh, man. The injuries to the 49ers keep piling on up. But this one, I really wouldn't be too sure about the Seahawks either. Do you agree?
Yeah, this is a tough game to handicap. One I would recommend you just stay away from. Seattle, definitely the better team. Obviously, so many injuries on the 49ers side of the team. as well as Seattle coming off a huge win last week. They won the division. So that was like, anytime you have a team coming off like a big win where they clinch a division or playoff spot, that next week is usually like a pretty good letdown game for them. You got to think they've been celebrating all week. They probably haven't been going super focused in practice this week. So, this is a good spot. If you did want to bet this game, I would take the 49ers here. But I'm not going to bet it myself.
Would you tease either one of these teams, either Seattle or 49ers, to a pick?
Yeah. So little rule of thumb for everyone listening, when you go with these teasers, a lot of the times it's something called crossing a zero. So when you take, like, for example, the 49ers right now, they're -7, they would be down to a pick 'em. But let's say they're, -6, and then you did a 17 teaser and you get them at +1. Whenever you cross that zero or get a team down to a pick 'em, that's like a big red flag. And usually those teams end up losing. So, I wouldn't recommend teasing Seattle down, but I do like teasing the 49ers up to +14 here. Anytime you get double digits in an NFL game, especially a division game, that's a great line.
Just a little breaking news from Adam Schefter just now. The Bills inactives today. They're all-pro corner. Tre'Davious White will be inactive. Jerry Hughes on the line. Cole Beasley and Mario Addison. Does that affect anything about the Bills today?
So those are a lot of big pieces. So, no Tre'Davious White should open a little bit more for Tua. A lot of people have, I've been sleeping. I'm not a big fantasy guy, but I know I've been sleeping on him. Cole Beasley, I think his stats are like top 10, top 15 in the NFL this year for a wide receiver position. So, a lot of people think, Cole Beasley, that's not a big loss, but that's a huge loss for, that Bills offense. So I would lean the Dolphins a little more there now, just because, Bills missing a lot of key players. You don't know if you're going to see a lot of Josh Allen or not. So you feel a little more comfortable riding the Dolphins there.
I also too, I think that I don't know if we want to get into this the last second, but in terms of the Dolphins, this game, I mean, it's really who wins Coach of the Year. Sean McDermott and Brian Flores are neck and neck for Coach of the Year. Up to this point, I don't have the numbers offhand, but I know that if you go to the Game Days Instagram, we had some of the latest odds here. So, do you think that do you factor that in if there's more cloud on the line for each of the coaches, or do you think that the coaches don't really care?
I mean,
I don't think the coaches
they're
really
human beings, right? So I'm sure they care because they're humans at the end of the day. Who wouldn't want to win Coach of the Year in the NFL?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure, for Brian Flores, he's more concerned with making the playoffs, I'm sure, than thinking like, am I going to get Coach of the Year? So as far as like a little extra motivation, like I think the Dolphins have enough clipboard motivation with, winning, you're into the playoffs. So I think you're definitely going to have a motivated Dolphins team. I'm not too sure. Does a loss affect the Bills as far as seeding here? Or are they just in no matter what? They're in their spot.
I think that they're in no matter what. In terms of the AFC, the seeding is pretty safe, but the Dolphins win and they're in.
See,
I'm not sure that 6th or the 7th seed. Again,
another thing to touch on, and not it's kind of late here, so not to get into too much, but one thing that I don't have the exact playoff scenario outcomes in front of me, but let's say like the Bills lose this game and the Dolphins get in rather than the Ravens, for example. I'm sure the Bills would probably rather have the Dolphins in the playoffs than the Ravens. So like that's like a little thing to always keep in mind in the back of your head as well.
All right, moving on to the next game in this slate. We're just going to start flying through all of these. The next one is the Jaguars and the Colts. That's another one for the coaching staff. As much as I love Doug Marrone will not be part of the Jaguars coaching staff for the next couple of seasons. I think he's going to be let go after today. That's the word on the street, according to Ian Rappaport at NFL Network. The Jaguars will be getting Trevor Lawrence next year. So this is their swan song. Do they put up? Do they shut up? Who's going to be the backup quarterback on that team next year? Is it going to be Mike Lennon? Is it going to be Gardner Minshew? Are they going to turn and change hands? Colts, huge favorites here. Do they cover the spread? Is this one you don't touch? Because it seems like, I don't know. The Jaguars seems to put up a lot of garbage time points in this one.
Yeah, they've been keeping them close. And, obviously we've seen the last 2-3 weeks doing this together. These double-digit spreads in the NFL are not what you think. And more often than not, the underdogs end up covering the spread. 14.5 points in an NFL game, a division game, like I just said with the 49ers, is a great bet. If you're going to bet this, I think the Jaguars are honestly not a bad play at all. 95% of the money on the Colts to cover the spread right now, so big liability for the sports books. I like the Jaguars to cover the spread here. And you said Trevor Lawrence. I don't know if you saw Justin Fields play the other day.
Yeah,
but
well, that's the thing. That's why Adam Gase is not going to be in New York. So Justin Fields will fit.
So I don't know if you remember when we were talking, I said I was hoping the Pats got Justin Fields, and after the other day, that's definitely not happening.
Zach Wilson. I think Bill Belichick's going to trade up. He's going to sell the farm to get into the top 10, take this kid out of BYU for the eighth or ninth overall pick. We'll see.
Yeah, Zach Wilson's not bad. I would be happy with Justin Fields or Zach. Justin Fields is definitely not an option after what he did to Clemson.
No way. Yeah. I mean, listen, the Patriots know that they need to be aggressive in this offseason, but they're not going to be that aggressive when it comes to the draft, even though, I mean, you could think of it two ways. Michael, Owenu, the kid, the offensive lineman out of Michigan, who they got in the 6th or 7th round, 5th or 6th round, I believe, playing really well. So it's one of those things where the Patriots could be, they could be clinging on to those late round picks, or they could just be like, all right, sell the farm. Let's go.
I just hope Bill doesn't, think he's too smart this time. I just hope he just does, the right thing and doesn't try to outsmart him and get a quarterback in the 3rd round. Just take one of these top guys and make it easy for us.
Listen, he has no choice. He has no choice at this point. This team could be. I have this prediction. I think the Patriots are going to be worse next year than they are this year. All right, moving on.
That's a bold one, but I could be there with you. I could just buy into that.
They're going to be worse next year than they are this year. Chargers at the Chiefs. Wow, the Chiefs are 5-point underdogs in this one. Anthony Lynn playing for this job. What do you think of this game? This is kind of a toss-up. I just don't think the Chiefs are going to go very far in the postseason. I'm not buying. I'm not buying anymore. Patrick Mahomes already lost his MVP trophy.
Like we both said last week, Rodgers was going to win that trophy that night. I don't. This is a game, no Patrick Mahomes. You just can't bet this game. If you are going to bet it, the Chargers seem like the obvious bet. 97% of the money on the Chargers right now. I would never get behind a bet like that. This is a game for me you just stay away from.
Okay, Packers and the Bears. This is an interesting one. A lot of people have the Bears on this one. Packers 4.5-point favorites. The Bears are playing for a lot. Packers are just playing for the number 1 seed. Do you take a chance and take Chicago and roll with Mitch Trubisky?
No. We both took last week. I'm just going to double down on Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to took what I won last week on him. I'm just going to put it on him again this week. Aaron Rodgers, I don't have the exact stat in front of me, but when he's playing an NFC North opponent, he covers the spread at, I think it's like a 57, 65%, somewhere in that range, percent clip. So, whenever he plays an opponent he's pretty familiar with, these division opponents, he just seems to light them up. So I think we're going to see Aaron Rodgers again come out, drop another 3 touchdowns, and eliminate the Bears from the playoffs. The Packers are also playing for first round home field advantage throughout this week. So if they win, they secure home field throughout the playoffs. So I think we're going to see a Packers team with still a lot to play for here, because obviously, playing home field in Lambeau throughout the playoffs is a huge advantage, right? We saw last week how that helped them. So I think Green Bay I love this bet. I think Green Bay is going to come out and just absolutely throttle the Bears this week.
Loving the Green Bay Packers as my Super Bowl pick. I'm still rolling with them. I think this year is a lot different than any other year. Let's move on.
Yeah, I could see that with you. I could see the Packers. The Bucs already beat them this year, so it's hard to beat a team twice in the NFL. And then because it's going to come down to the Bucs or Packers for me at the NFC, I think. So how great would it be, Bucs Packers NFC Championship in Lambeau? Tom Brady versus Rodgers, that would be vintage.
I love it. Last couple of games here before we get to our Monday night slate game. Cardinals at the Rams. Jared Goff undergoing surgery for a broken thumb. He could be out for a couple of weeks, holding him out for the postseason. The Cardinals, man, Cliff Kingsbury is making a lot of questionable coaching calls late in the game. It's like, hey, man, do you have oatmeal for brains or not? Kyler Murray's still their star on that team. This is a pick 'em. It's a jump game. What do you think?
Kyler Murray's a little banged up, so that kind of worries me here. But I just think you got, no Jared Goff. It could go one of two ways. We both said how Jared Goff out of the play action is, lights out. If he's not running play action, he's putrid. I just think the Cardinals are a better team. I think Kyler Murray's going to get it done today. Cliff Kingsbury does worry me a little bit. He has blown some of these games here. But yeah, I would ride with the Cardinals here, and I feel pretty comfortably with them.
Okay, last game, and I'm sorry if I said Monday night. I meant to say Sunday night. Sunday Night Football. This is the big one. The Washington football team.
No free bets today from me.
What?
I'm not giving out any free bets today. I'm not going to mess it up.
Today. Don't say the R word. Washington football team. They have to beat the Eagles, and they are in, and they win the NFC. This was my early favorite for the NFC East. I still have faith. Alex Smith will be playing. This has a lot of implications on the line, and Washington comes in as a heavy 6-point favorite.
So you like Washington here, I'm guessing?
I like Washington here. I'm not taking, even though they said also, too, on the Eagles side of the ball, Doug Peterson will be hanging around. Jim Schwartz, their defensive coordinator for Philadelphia, will be retiring and be moving on. I guess the prediction when he told DK Metcalf that he was not up to snuff and was nothing close to Megatron. He just is kind of sleeping in his tears, and he says he wants to retire. So not a fan of Jim Schwartz. Sorry.
Yeah, I didn't pick up on that, honestly. I kind of like the Eagles here, especially what you just said, Jim Schwartz retiring. I think their defense is going to be super fired up. I think they're going to come out, play a big game for him, his last game of his career. Mm-hmm. I think Jalen Hurts is going to come out and light it up. I just think the Washington football team is a little overrated. Alex Smith coming back from a little injury on that leg, so a little worried how he's going to hold up, again.
Terry McLaurin and Antonio Gibson will be both playing for Washington. So okay. They will get their stars back. So that's possibly what playing into the line here.
What do you think of Terry McLaurin and Jalen Reagor anytime touchdown parlay?
I like that.
Yeah, I like that too. Honestly, I think you're gonna. I think Scary Terry.
Do you think Travis Fulgham? Travis Fulgham or Jalen Reagor? I know Jalen Reagor's their superstar. I mean, that would be kind of like you'd have to give that one a label, like some of the young star parlay, anytime touchdowns.
Yeah, I would probably go Jalen Reagor just because I feel like, I don't know why, for some reason I'm just envisioning right now like Jalen Hurts chucking up like another 70-yard bomb at some point in this game. I don't know why. Yeah, I like the Eagles a lot here on Sunday Night Football. Home game. They obviously are not playing for much this year, but I think, getting a win here, building momentum going into next year with Jalen Hurts under center. Mm-hmm. I think the Eagles, and again, this is, division matchup. There's a lot to play for to block Washington from making the playoffs. So, they're not making the playoffs, but, preventing Washington from making the playoffs would be probably the next best thing for Eagles and their fans. So, yeah, I like, I'm even going to toss this in a parlay. I'm going to go Cowboys Eagles parlay. That's we'll call that one the Cowboys make the playoffs parlay.
Whoa, I like it. It.
Cowboys money line, Eagles money line. I think it'll probably pay pretty well too.
Yeah, so I hope this one pays because I'm gonna give this one to you. Steelers 9.5, Dallas money line, and Carolina +6.
I like that. I do like that. What was the second one you said? It was Steelers 9.5, Carolina +6.
Dallas money line.
Carolina Andy Dalton is going to come out and play the game of his career today. A lot of pressure on it for him, but I feel like Andy. Yeah, he's
$1 million.
So he's got to win to get the incentive, right?
Yes. No, I think he's got to play just as the game plays out, he just can't get hurt because he's going to have to play more than 50% of the snaps at quarterback.
Imagine like, they're getting beat 14-0 in the first quarter and Jerry's like, I'm not paying you $1 million and benches him. Like that would be something.
$1 million is like the wine cabinet in that $250 million mega yacht. I don't think he cares.
I know. I would love to be like Kenny Jones, right? Born into that family.
Stephen Jones. The grandson's a pretty good football player too.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, okay, it's Jerry Jones's grandson. I think it's Stephen Jones's son.
Oh, wow.
A couple years back, I think he played like the championship game at AT&T Stadium. Anyways, we'll get to that another time. Do you have any final thoughts for our listeners and viewers and all the good people?
No, just like I tell you guys every week, don't bet above your head. Don't lose your shirt on this Sunday. Bet in this NFL action. Like I said, I'm slow playing it. All my clients today, they're going to slow play it as well. There's a lot of big action coming up, with the NFL playoffs. I'm pretty confident in some of those bets. So a lot of people, what they're going to do is chase today, lose their money, and then, try and dig out. But hey, guys, remember, don't bet above your head. Don't bet on these bad games. Take the advice, take the surefire wins on the games with the biggest edge and go from there.
Awesome. You heard it here first. This is our Game Day Live pregame show every Sunday. Reminder that we're going to be doing this every Saturday coming up for the postseason. So all the Saturdays in January, you're going to catch the same crew. Me, Kenny Betts Big. I'm Courtney Fallon. Hope you have a wonderful week 17 and you make that good money.